Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 758. Today, I'm going to talk to you about our title, One Bad Decision. And actually, I'm going to talk to you about two separate instances of one bad decision. So, where will we start? Okay, so I am feeling good. But I went through about an 8-day period of feeling bad, like getting my work done, getting my chores done, and then finding the couch bad. That kind of, you do your typical chores, you do every single day, and then it just feels like you just ran a marathon. You were just completely wiped out bad. So I know it's going around everywhere in the entire country. Everybody's been dealing with this stuff. But I definitely had it last week and a little bit the week before that. And I will tell you what, it is a bummer when that's going on and you've got a lot of work to do. I mean, being an entrepreneur and having a small farm, I don't even care. I'm just one person on the small farm. Stuff comes up. So, with that said, my wife, Autumn, has been very, very nice to me during this time, and as much as she has been able to, she has been doing chores for me. So last Sunday, let's see, so you're listening to this as it comes out on a Tuesday. I'm not talking about 2 days ago, I'm talking about 9 days ago, that Sunday. On that Sunday, she did the chores for me, and we had 3 yearlings separated off, 2 heifers and a steer, separated off from the rest of the herd in our back pasture. And I had given them free rein to the pasture to let them kind of go clean it up and get some supplemental feed off of the pasture over the winter. But we've been feeding them in a feed stanchion out here behind our house. Well, she went out to feed that morning. She looked at the hay they had left, and she decided they've got enough hay left. And under normal circumstances, I think she would have been right. But we've been feeding oat hay over the winter. Now, I have been really happy with feeding oat hay, but one thing I've realized now is the cows, if they've got access to any other feed, pasture or alfalfa or anything like that, they are going to go right through that bale or those bales or whatever of the oat hay, and they're going to eat those oat heads. They're going to eat that seed out of there, and they're going to move on to something else. They're only going to clean up those stems and the rest of that straw that's in that oat hay when they've got no other options. Now, we've got a bunch of cattle in a sacrifice area, and they clean up every last bite of the oat hay. But these 3 yearlings, they've been leaving a lot. So when Autumn looked at the hay that was left, and she hadn't been feeding cows every day, she was doing me a big-time solid because I was on the couch. When she made that decision, what she didn't realize was they had already eaten through everything they liked in that feed bunk, and they were moving on. They were looking for other stuff that they liked better. So she did this, and then she and Hattie actually went up to the ski hill. They went skiing. They'll go, well, actually, every now and then I'll go too, but they'll go once, twice a year. So they went up the ski hill on Sunday. I'm like, go ahead, have a good time. Not going to happen for me. And then on the way back through Boise, they're going to stop and they were going to have dinner with my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law and their family. And I wasn't going to make that either because I don't like being sick. And I certainly don't want to drive into town, into the city, by the way, and go through traffic and deal with all that. I just want to be laying there in front of the fire. So that was going to be my day. So we're getting to the end of the day Sunday. I said, no problem. Go over to your sister's, have dinner. I'll take care of chores this evening. No big deal. So I'm getting my stuff on. I'm upstairs, and ironically, I get a text message from my brother-in-law. He's like, hey, I made a lot of food. You need to come over and eat this. And I'm like, can't do it, man. And I look out the window in our back pasture, and I see I've got a cow out our back fence. And I wrote to him, and I go, besides, I've got cows out. And that was that. So I get dressed, and I'm not in any panic because behind our place is a canal. They're a long ways from any roads, and our cows traditionally working with them, I can go open a gate and just kind of gently just kind of pressure them towards that gate, and they'll find the gate. It's not a big deal. And really, we've never had cows out here that much. But we've got this one fence, and you all know that our farm has been a work in progress since we bought it, and there was this one fence on the back end. It was in bad shape, but we've been kind of limping it along, patching it up, reinforcing it with hot wire and this and that, and keeping it going. Well, what happened was this one heifer, she did not agree with Autumn that there was enough hay left in that feed bunk. She wanted the good stuff. So she was done with what was in the feed bunk, and she was out, and she was pushing for feed. And I mean, 98% of the time when cows get out, it's because they're pushing for feed, right? So she's pushing for feed. She got her head through the fence. I didn't have the hot wire on back there. And she was able to push down the field fence a little bit, this old fence, and step through. By the time I got my bibs on, my jacket, all of that, my hat, got outside to do chores, I looked. Now, there was 2 out there on the canal, and there was only 1. The steer was still in the pasture. Okay, no big deal. I pride myself as being very good at moving animals. And by the way, it's getting dark. It's about 5 o'clock at this point, maybe 5:20, something like that. So it's getting late in the day for us. Sun is getting ready to go down. So I head out there. I open the back gate that opens up out to the canal. I go up on the canal bank, and I just try to gently pressure these 2 heifers just a little bit to work over to the gate and pop back in. But we've got cheatgrass coming up already because it's been a warm winter, and they are loving the cheatgrass. And I realized as I saw them going to town on the cheatgrass that, I've got a challenge here. Well, pretty soon the steer came out through the open gate, which was fine with me. I wasn't worried about it because they were going to group up and they'd all go back in together. And I do not know what happened, but one of them got a wild hair. I mean, I wasn't putting pressure on them or anything, and took off running down the canal. Took off running. And they got down to a little service road that'll go out to the actual main road where traffic goes up and down. And I saw him stop over there at that corner, and I thought, oh boy, this is not good, and I am not feeling good, and I don't know what I'm going to do. So, and because Autumn and Hattie had gone up the mountain to the ski hill, she wanted to take my pickup for the 4-wheel drive, so I didn't have my pickup. So I actually got in Autumn's car. I drove out our driveway, down to the road, around to where the service road comes out to the main road, parked the car there and put on the hazards, the flashers, because it's getting dark. And in case the cows come this way, I'm just hoping that whoever's coming down this road will see the flashers and will slow down because it's getting dark and they're going to be hard to see. So I do all this. I get out to where they were standing. I park the car there, and then I walk the service road to the canal, get out to the canal where they were standing, hoping I can just work them right back to my place, down the fence line, down my neighbor's fence line and down my fence line. And these cows are nowhere to be seen. I can't even see them. And I am like, you have got to be kidding me. And I am sweating, and I am achy. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So it's muddy. So I just had to follow their hoof prints, and they have gone, they're 3/4 of a mile from our place by the time I caught up to them. So I got up on top of the canal. They're on a service road between a fence and the canal bank. There's a service road. They're on the service road. So I got up on top of the canal, walked past them, got behind them, and started walking them back. Well, I had called a neighbor. Husband was out of town. The wife and the 2 daughters came out. They came to the end of that service road just to block it. So when I worked these yearlings back to that service road, they would not turn and go out to the main road. They'd continue going down the fence line, follow the canal, and go back to the open gate in my place. So we got there. We're almost to the service road, but they can see these people standing there trying to keep them from turning and going down the service road, and they spooked, and they turned around on me, and then they went up on top of the canal and started kind of trotting back the way we had come. Now, I was hoping to get this stopped before this got too bad, so I'm running. Now, I don't run after cattle. That is one rule if you come to my place and you're going to work cows with me. We don't run. We will hit the reset button before we try and run and get in front of a cow. But under this particular circumstance, I'm running, trying to stay ahead of these cows so I can get them stopped, get them turned, kind of reset, have these folks that are watching this, keeping them from going down this lane, have them back up a little bit, and I can work them back down to my fence line. So I got ahead of them once. I got them turned around. I got them headed back, and then they popped up on top of the canal on me again, and there was no way for me to outpace them this time, and they took off. So I followed them down, trying to figure out where they went, and there was a gate open into a field that was all bedded up for planting corn this coming spring. They were out in this field. It's a crop field. There's not good fences, but there is some fence in it. And I am like, you have got to be kidding me. So now I'm sick. It's getting really dark. I have got the 12-year-old daughter of our neighbor down there with me. So if I'm going to try and bring him back down this fence line, push him out of this cultivated field, back onto the canal road, and she's supposed to be there so they'll turn the correct direction. They're walking all over this field. I can't get them to go anywhere I want them to go. It's getting really dark. Can barely see them. I'm sick. I've got Autumn and Hattie coming home. They didn't get to have dinner with the in-laws. I've called multiple neighbors. I've got multiple neighbors out there now helping me, trying to push these cows. And lo and behold, Autumn and Hattie got home. We got them in the right place. I got a neighbor out in that cultivated field with me. Pushed them back, got them on the canal road, walked them down. Now that I had 3 people pushing them, one person on top of the canal, me and another person down below, we were able to push them right where we wanted them to go, right into our pasture. Everything worked great. It was just one of those times I couldn't do it by myself. And before it was all over, I needed a lot of people. So thank goodness for neighbors who are not afraid to get their feet dirty in the mud and to be out after dark, because I really, really needed that help. So we got the cows back in. We pinned them up, threw them some hay, and I was done. It was time for me to go night-night. So that was it for me for the night. I guess I got the rest of the chores done at that point, and then I went to bed. So I wound up on the couch for, oh my goodness, the rest of this week. Just after I was just doing the bare necessities all week, and then I was just done. It was just over for me. So I was struggling through that all week, and so I put everything off, and I put our cows out to the back pasture. I put the yearlings out to the back pasture, and because this fence needed to be fixed before I could get them back in here. So finally I started feeling good on Saturday. So about 6 days later, I felt pretty good enough to go out and work. And so Autumn and I headed out that morning, and we started working on this back fence. We strung barbed wire up. We got really nice barbed wire strung up. We fixed the field fence. We got this fence back into prime shape so we could turn those cows back out and we could get back to status quo. So the first bad decision was Autumn not feeding them a bale that day, and so they pushed the fence. Fast forward to this last Saturday, and we are going to come to Matt's bad decision. This is going to be bad decision number 2. So we got the fence, we got the barbed wire strung, we got the field fence fixed. I put up hot wire to reinforce it. I mean, we were looking good. It was done. And really, at that point, all I needed to do was just fence off with some more hot wire, a different sacrifice area for them, and then the fence we just repaired, that would be a nice physical boundary, a backup if they got out of the sacrifice area I was going to put them in. I thought I was smart, and once we had got the last strand of barbed wire stretched, at the end of this service road at the base of the canal on the back of our property, I had thrown the spool of barbed wire over the fence to the service road, thrown the stretcher over, and thought, you know what, instead of lugging these things all the way to the pickup, I'll just drive down here, throw them in the bed, and be out of here once we get done. Now, it had been raining all day, and it had been raining for a lot of the week. And so we got all done. Everything was looking good. It looked like we might go do something, entertaining. We might go entertain ourselves that day. I was feeling good finally. And so I hopped in the pickup. By the way, I've got brand new tires on the pickup. Great traction. drive to the end of the service road where it dead ends into where a creek runs through our property, and get the stuff in the back of the truck, get in, start to back up, and there's a little bit of slope, and the wet ground gave way, and my truck starts to slide into the fence we just built. So I've got traction. That's not a problem. So I'm pulling forward, trying to swing it, but I can't swing it very far because it's kind of a narrow service road. There's concrete on one side and a fence on one side, and I'm trying to swing it, but the rear end of the pickup is stuck in some ruts now where it's sunk down. It doesn't want to come out of them. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And so I tried multiple times. Each time I try backing up and try work it over, I'm sliding closer to this fence that we just got done putting back together. And I'm like, you've got to be joking. So pretty soon, I've tried it enough. I'm having the same result, but worse each and every time. And I know I'm getting in deep. So I stopped, went and got our tractor out there. Hey, we are a small farm. I don't have to have a big tractor with a huge load capacity. I need about a 1,500-pound load capacity on my tractor to get 1,000-pound totes of pig feed out of the pickup and stowed away for our pigs. That's what I need. So I don't have a big tractor. I've got a 27-horse Ford tractor, a 1715. So I get out there. I've got it chained to the receiver on the back end. I've got the bucket, and the tractor wants to tip. So basically, once I get the weight on the bucket, it wants to lift the back end of the tractor. I don't have enough counterweight in the back, so I can't move the truck there. I got Autumn in the truck. She's backing it up slowly. I'm trying to keep it pulled over to the correct side of the canal with the tractor. That's not working. It keeps wanting to slip towards the fence. So I unhook. I go back to the house. I hook our disc, which weighs a lot, onto the tractor. Come back around, try hooking up again. Even with the disc on, it is picking up the back end of the tractor when I try and lift the back end of the pickup so I can move it over. And my pickup's relatively new. I had a Dodge diesel for 15 years, and 3 years ago I sold that and I bought this Ford 1-ton. And so it's relatively new. It's good looking. I mean, I don't want to scratch it all up. It's a ranch pickup. It's a farm pickup, and eventually it's going to be very identifiable as one. But until that day comes, I don't want to rush it. So I'm getting closer to the fence. I can't get it away from the fence. I'm like, oh my goodness, am I going to have to call a tow company to come up, drive up on the top of the canal, hook up a winch to the back of my pickup, and pull me out of these ruts? I mean, it's just killing me. And I decide, no, I'm not doing that. So Autumn and I grab a couple shovels. We are shoveling ruts behind the pickup, filling in the ruts we're in. I've pulled the truck as far forward as I can without it diving into our creek. And we're building new ruts for it. And we're doing a good job. We are doing a good job. I start backing it out pretty slowly. Things are going the way I need them to go. Things are looking good. And then the world collapsed on me again, and my truck slid down right into the fence to the point where I'm not scratched up or anything yet. I'm not dented, but now the truck is in the fence. I mean, it's over. It's over. And now even calling the tow company to winch me out, I'm looking at this deal going, if they winch me, I don't know what's going to happen here. It's going to drag me along this fence. So I weighed my options, trying to figure out what to do. I was in bad shape. And lo and behold, I did the one thing I had to do, and I had to swallow 1,000,000 pounds of pride to do this. But we started taking down that fence. Well, before I finish my story, everybody, let me talk to you about my great sponsors, Lacrosse Boots. LacrosseFootwear.com. Done right since 1897, Lacrosse Footwear has been making quality boots for hunting, working, and tending the land for over a century. Let me tell you about the Alpha Range. Autumn and I spent every waking minute this past weekend in our Alpha Range boots. Dry, comfortable, warm the entire time. We don't get a lot of rain in Idaho. We got probably 0.35 to zero point 0.4 inches of rain over the weekend here. I know, that's nothing for most of you within the sound of my voice. For us, that is a lot of rain, and we lived in our Alpha Range boots all weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, working out there in the mud and the muck. I'll tell you what, traction-wise, comfort-wise, warmth-wise, we could not ask for more. You should get yourself a pair as well. You find them at lacrossefootwear.com. And, of course, Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment, everybody. What more can I possibly say about Powder River other than even as a kid, I was an admirer of this company. You know, in the beer garden at the Valley Home store where I grew up, you would hear the guys that had cattle talk about Powder River. I've known about Powder River ever since I was a kid, and to have them as a sponsor of the show is just an absolute thrill for me. They make great squeeze chute panels, runways, sweep tubs, calf tables, everything you need to handle your large livestock as stress-free and safely as possible. Please check them out over at powderriver.com. All right, so back to the story. So we commenced in cutting wire that we just strung, cutting field fence that we had just fixed, yanking out T-posts, removing the panels we'd put in there to reinforce this old fence. We tore it all out. It's completely tore out. Finally got it all tore out, and I was able to back my pickup into our pasture and then drive out through our sacrifice area, which was a challenge in its own right. But I got brand new tires from Les Schwab. They worked great. I got their brand new all-terrain tire. I forget the name of it. Open Range, I think, or something like that. It did really good because I was in deep muck going through that sacrifice area trying to get that pickup out. But I put the rear lockers on in four-wheel drive and just didn't give up on her. And she caught traction, and she jumped out of there. So those tires worked great. But anyway, so I drove through the pasture. I got the pickup out. We got the tractor out. And now that back fence is completely tore apart. And that was all on Saturday. But I will tell you, I hate when I make a stupid decision like driving that pickup to the end of that service road. Excuse me. And trying to save myself hauling some equipment, 150 yards or something like that. Dumb decision, one bad decision. I shouldn't have done it. And it resulted in all the work we had just done being destroyed. And now I got to do it all over again. But there is something funny about when you do something stupid like that, and then you get yourself out of the bind, which ultimately I got myself out of the bind. The pickup is not scratched up, not dented, and it's back on solid ground. And I'll tell you what, Saturday night, not last night, but the night that this happened, it was kind of a fun night because you get all that stress built up on your shoulders, then you get it off your shoulders, and it's a great feeling when you get stress off your shoulders. I don't recommend purposely putting stress on yourself like I unwittingly did on Saturday, but when you do get rid of that stress, it is a nice feeling. So anyway, we're close to back to normal now, but on Sunday, the next day, we got the bulk of the rain that we got in this storm coming out of the Pacific Northwest. So it has been so wet all day today. It just never stopped. And we had plenty of work to do outside today. We had to get a heifer separated off who just calved, and she was in with our bull, so we needed to get her away. And we had to move some other cattle, and that's always a challenge. And it just poured and poured and poured today. And so it's way wetter today than it was yesterday. I'm recording this on Sunday. This happened yesterday. But it is way wetter today than it was on the day when this happened. So no work on that fence got done today. So now we've just got a big gaping hole in our fence out there. So I've got to get that fixed before we're back to normal. But the good news is I don't think it'll be too tough to get done. Anyway, it just made me chuckle. It's amazing to me how the day was going along just perfect. You know how you plan out a day and you go, I got to get this done, and then we can go do this thing. So, for example, Hattie on Saturday was supposed to have softball practice in the afternoon. We were going to get this fence taken care of in the morning, get the cows back out where we wanted them, and then we were going to go, and while she was at her softball practice, Autumn and I were going to work at a coffee shop. I was going to work on the podcast for a couple hours while it was raining. Well, of course, none of that happened. Hattie ended up not going because she caught my bug. She's now sick. But anyway, one small bad decision and the whole day is just downhill. Always amazing to me when those things happen. But it's great when you get it remedied, great when you get it fixed, and you get that stress off of your shoulders. So I'm sure you've all done the same. That is my story, and I am sticking to it. One bad decision, and they just stack up on top of each other. The first one with that hay bale, if they'd never pushed that fence down, if we'd have kept them full of what they wanted, maybe we'd have never encountered this. But I know that fence was in bad enough shape. Eventually we would have anyway. So anyway, it's all working out for the best now. Hope everything is working out the best where you all are as well. And hey, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.